Today on the CTV News at 5, a Lethbridge funeral home owner pleads guilty to fraud. Plus, what we're learning about the relationship between a murdered 77-year-old Vulcan man and his alleged killer. And a big boost for Lethbridge's Tech Connect.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. The owner of a Lethbridge funeral home has admitted to defrauding clients and the provincial government. Ralph Zettner pleaded guilty to one count of fraud under $5,000 in court today. Although there is only one charge, the fraud happened 100 times. Kayla Carr explains.
It's been a year since Ralph and Faith Zettner were charged with 9 criminal offenses. The owners of Cornerstone Funeral Home were accused of billing for services they didn't provide and indignity to human remains for allegedly cutting off a finger to remove a ring. Zettner admits he did commit fraud.
When I explained to him what the exactly what the law was and we discussed it, he was quite prepared to own up to it and take responsibility.
The 8 other charges against the Zettners were withdrawn, but the new charge has 3 parts. Zettner admits he ordered some cremations to take place in less expensive caskets. In some of those cases, the clients were not aware and paid full price. He also admits that some social services clients were cremated in less expensive caskets, but the government was still billed the higher price. In some of those cases, the families chose the cheaper route because if their loved one was denied social services, the family would have to foot the bill. And Zettner also billed the government to scatter ashes, but didn't always follow through. The 3 different crimes happened a total of 100 times. Defense lawyer Balfour Durr says his clients used the extra money he was given to provide free additional services to some clients, like a chapel service or hearse rental.
In some respects, the case is very close to a breach of contract, where he's doing things, he's knowingly doing these things, but at the time it's not clear at all to him that he's doing something illegal.
Zettner spoke in court today saying, "This has been the most difficult year of my life. I take full responsibility and understand I was wrong. I believe the extra services I provided made up for it. I promise this will never happen again." The Crown says Zettner breached the trust of the community and loved ones who were at their most vulnerable and should serve 9 to 12 months in jail. But Durr says Zettner should receive a conditional discharge.
I'm really trying to save him from having a criminal record, because if he gets a record, I'll bet that he may have great difficulty working in this industry.
Last year, the Alberta Funeral Services Regulatory Board opened a file on the funeral home, but said they wouldn't be taking any further action until the court case was resolved. We contacted them today and found out they will be talking about the case and deciding whether to revoke Zettner's license at their next meeting on Friday. Kayla Carr, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The court will set a date for sentencing at Zettner's next appearance on February the 7th. We're learning more about the relationship between a murdered 77-year-old Vulcan man and the 2 people charged in connection to his death. Tim Engel and his pregnant wife, Bobby Jo Parks, are both charged in connection to the murder of Otto Bunty Luce. Just after 9 o'clock last night, police led 35-year-old Engel to a waiting police cruiser at the High River RCMP detachment. Engel is charged with first-degree murder and an indignity to a body. Police still aren't saying how the 77-year-old retired farmer was killed, but they have confirmed that the 2 men first met in jail. Investigators say Luce was kidnapped and driven to Nanton and Clare's home, where someone tried to get money from his bank accounts. He was then murdered and his dismembered body dumped in a wooded area. Now Engel is cooperating with investigators, retracing the steps in the crime.
Well, what we've done with him is actually started at what could be considered the beginning at our victim's house, and Mr. Engel then has led us through the various places where various things happened.
Engel is now in jail in Lethbridge, and he'll appear in court on Friday. And the family of Otto Bunty Luce is speaking out today, thanking RCMP for all their hard work, but wondering why the man wasn't arrested for their father's murder when he was under house arrest rather than put behind bars. when the murder happened. Timmy Engel is facing a list of unrelated assault and forcible confinement charges. Memories and photos are all Kim and Lavonda Jesnick have of Lavonda's father, Bunty. Police told them Monday of finding his body in pieces throughout the area west of Claire's home. 35-year-old Timmy Engel, as we showed you, has been charged with murder and interfering with human remains. He is currently charged with assault, forcible confinement, and a host of unrelated violent domestic charges. Lavonda Jesnick wants to know why he wasn't behind bars already.
How could they allow somebody to be out after all the charges that was laid that he's going to court for, I think, February 1st? It's an atrocity.
Engel has not been convicted of either charges in either of the domestic case or the Luce murder. Police say he spent yesterday at the various crime scenes helping with Luce's murder and police in their investigation. The Jesnicks say they are grateful for everything that the police have done. Meanwhile, the family of Engel's co-accused Bobby Joe Parks is speaking out, offering condolences to the Luce family. Bridget Brown has that story.
A very pregnant Bobby Joe Parks is led out of the Claire's home RCMP detachment by her mother.
Just trying to get my bearings on all of this. Yeah, so, I mean, I will have something to say once things calm down a little bit, but today is just not the day.
Parks is one of two people facing charges in connection with the death of 77-year-old Otto Bunty Luce. She's charged with obstruction. Her common-law husband, Timmy Engels, is charged with murder.
It was horrible, and I hope that their family has some comfort, at least. They know, you know.
Neighbors tell us police first came knocking on their townhouse door last Friday. They were back yesterday. That's when the two were arrested. Joan and Gerald Miller have known Bobby Joe for a number of years.
She's got a 6-year-old or so son, Kane, and she also is carrying another baby, and, you know, I feel sorry for both.
Engel is a casual employee in the bar here at the Claire's Home Inn. Staff didn't want to go on camera, but tell me they were shocked to hear of the charges. Engel and Parks have been in the bar recently, excitedly talking about their growing family. Engels had a bail hearing in RCMP custody. He was denied. Meanwhile, Bobby Joe Parks' mother says she's still trying to sort out what happened and thinking of Bunty Luce's family.
I just want to give my condolences to all the victims. You know, all the people that have been touched by this horrible thing.
Bridget Brown, CTV News, Claire's home.
28-year-old Bobby Joe Parks is expected in court next week. Dory Rossiter is here. And Dory, there is light in the end of the tunnel, but we're going to see like a 20-degree shift in temperatures in a 24-hour period.
I know, it's going to be actually quite amazing, but we have a couple more days to get through. The wind chill warning has been lifted for the Lethbridge area and other areas in the extreme southern region of the province, but that doesn't mean it's not going to get cold tonight. It's going to get down to minus 29 here. It's just that we're not factoring in wind chill at this time, so it is what it is. Another couple cold days, but yep, you're right. Saturday, big change. Stay tuned for the 5-day forecast.
Well, as Dory was saying, hope is on the way. Environment Canada has ended the wind chill warning for the Lethbridge and surrounding areas, but it's still in place to the north, east, and west. With the wind chill, it'll feel more like minus 40 or minus 45 in the communities of Brooks, Vulcan, Medicine Hat, Bow Island, and Suffield. Southeastern BC is also under the warning for Elk Valley, Yoho Park, and Kootenay Park. After 30 hours of blowing snow and whiteout conditions, Highway 3 from Sparwood to the Alberta border reopened this morning. It closed Monday night. The cold weather has also shut down Lethbridge College campuses in Fort Macleod, Pincher Creek, and Crow's Nest Pass, as well as a number of rural school bus routes. 21-year-old Coaldale man has now been charged in connection with a fatal pedestrian collision in South Lethbridge last September. 63-year-old Thomas Eaglespeaker was struck while crossing 13th Street at 7th Avenue South. He was airlifted to Calgary, where he later died. Police have now charged the driver of the car with failing to yield to a pedestrian in a crosswalk. Dustin Christopher Tarbell is scheduled to appear in court on February 15th. Police have also concluded their investigation into a fatal pedestrian mishap last September and say no charges will be laid in that one. 62-year-old Elved Wayne Hughes was struck and killed in the 2500 block of 19th Avenue South. Investigators say the pedestrian wasn't using the crosswalk and stepped out from behind a vehicle. They also say there was no evidence that the 29-year-old driver was operating her vehicle in a dangerous manner. Alberta NDP leader Brian Mason says the latest financial figures show Albertans are being gouged by power companies. The NDP opposition released earnings figures and CEO salaries for 5 power companies. Mason is in Lethbridge today, where he met with local education officials and spoke to several community groups. He released figures showing power company profits for the last 3 quarters of last year, and they range from TransAlta's $40 million to net earnings by Enbridge of $656 million. ENMAX's net earnings were just under $142 million. The NDP figures show power company CEOs made between $1.2 million and just over $8 million last year.
The salaries that the CEOs are receiving are astronomical. And it's just not right. The market system that they've created gouges consumers. We pay far too much for our electricity, and the companies, the shareholders, and the CEOs are the ones that are benefiting.
Mason says his party would freeze power prices at a fair, affordable level and then require companies to justify rate increases before an independent utility board. Economic Development Lethbridge says the city's Centre for New Commerce is off to a positive start with the announcement that 4 companies will be working out of the facility. The 4 companies were introduced this morning at the Tech Connect building in North Lethbridge. 3 of the companies are computer software, web development, and IT-based firms. The other uses unmanned aerial systems to provide images and remote sensing data for oil and gas, agriculture, and engineering firms. Those involved are all excited about having a local centre to attract and develop technology companies.
Our field is so diverse and dynamic. I have 20 years of experience in IT, but I'm not an expert in everything. I need other IT folks to come in and help me deliver service to my clients. And that's what's really exciting about Tech Connect, because it's an incubator for IT professionals.
What we're trying to do literally in Lethbridge is make it possible, like these 3 young people from the university, to stay here, find employment.
Economic Development Lethbridge says the goal is to support expansion of the information technology sector in southern Alberta while helping to diversify the economy and create some good local jobs. And speaking of the economy, it was a good day on the markets. Here are the closing numbers.